Inflation isn't correcting.
Rates are going up again.
The best time to buy and sell in this summer season.
The number of homes on the market is also increasing for sale.
We're going to talk about all these things in this month's mid-month report. I'm Jackie Sosa.
And I'm George Philbeck, and this is our mid-month report for the month of April. For the next few minutes, we're going to talk about everything related to Central Florida housing market. Now, if you like this kind of information and you want this delivered to you regularly, please hit the subscribe and like button.
We made a new sign just for you. Come on, you got to love that.
That way you get these reports. We do one on the 15th and we do one again on the 1st of each month. We talk about everything that's relating to the housing market, and we're doing that right now, April mid-month. Let's get started. Inflation is still in the news, despite everybody hoping and really praying that it would come down. Myself particularly, because I said interest rates would come down, or I'd get a
pie in the face. We need to do it.
If they're not down in May 15th, we'll do it. So you better subscribe, that way you'll see a pie in the face. Let's go to this article. I think it's relevant.
U.S. inflation surprise clouds rate cut picture. Unlikely that Fed will see enough support for a June cut, Moody says.
U.S. inflation is expected to retreat eventually, but the recent upside surprise in the U.S. inflation data could delay monetary policy easing.
So what does that mean for us?
That means that we're going to cover this in just a minute. We're really in the buying season. We're going to really define what that looks like. But when we have the Fed interest rates going up, it's obviously affecting our interest rates. We'll show you the current rates in just a minute as well. We were hoping for the rates to drop in December, really in November. We were hoping for them to drop again in February. And now they're saying they're probably not going to drop in June, which means
they're probably not going to drop.
That's probably the case. We're kind of stuck with these high rates through the entire season. Let's show them something else.
Now, we obviously focus on the Florida market, and unfortunately, our neighboring cities have the dubious honor of being on that list twice.
These are the cities with the biggest inflation problems, and it starts off with number one, Hawaii, Honolulu, and how this works. It has the total score, which is right in the middle, followed by Consumer Price Index, which shows now against 2 months previous, and then year over year is the last column. The number two metro area is Miami, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach. Now, they've had inflation of 1.4% in the last 2 months and 4.9% year over year. Now, that's crazy. And the worst part is the interest. What we've seen inflation is now 3.5% year over year. It's that much higher. Let's go back to the graph. Then you have at number 3, California, St. Louis, Dallas, Seattle, Philadelphia. Another California with Los Angeles, Boston, Baltimore, Atlanta, and number 12, our sister city, Tampa, St. Pete, Clearwater. Now, they only went up 0.9% or almost 1% in the last 2 months, but they're at 3.7, still higher than the national average. Now, Jackie, it's great that we didn't see Orlando in there, but our sister city right next to us is there. We have Miami. There's 2 places in Florida. The inflation is hitting Florida pretty hard, too. Car insurance is through the roof.
Homeowners insurance is through the roof.
Right, and this is all inflationary. Yeah. They didn't even include food and fuel, which is now our gas is higher too. This is a challenge, and it creates a really tough environment for buyers, which creates a tough environment for sellers. Let's go back and take a look at this again. Following, we have Houston, Washington, San Francisco, Chicago, San Diego, New York, Newark, Denver, and Minnesota.
Minneapolis.
What she said, Minneapolis. So those are the top 20, and we have 2 in the state of Florida. That makes me a little bit nervous.
Yeah.
So let's jump over to when's the best time to buy and sell. And we actually have a report that supports that.
But we have to look at it from 2 sides, the seller side and also the buyer's perspective.
Great call. Let's do that. We'll first pick up on the seller side, and then we'll move to the buyer side right afterwards. Fox Business says real estate data reveals the best time to sell your home in 2024. If you're a homeowner waiting on the sidelines for the perfect time to sell your home, this week could be your time to shine.
Despite mortgage rates inching closer to 7%, a recent research from Realtor.com indicated the week of April 14th through 20th might be the ideal week for potential sellers to list, as spring historically brings with it higher buyer demand and a market with very low inventory.
Some homeowners have been on the sidelines for 2 years waiting for the mortgage rates to fall. Additional survey data from the site shows. However, while 50% say they're willing to hold out longer in hopes of a rate drops, nearly 30% say they need to sell soon for personal reasons.
Additionally, with a market cooling in many areas, 12% expect a bidding war to take place versus 27% in 2023, and only 15% expect to get more than their asking price versus 31% last year.
So Jackie, what I'm hearing on this is that we've got well, our inventory is actually going up, which we're going to cover in just a couple seconds. But this is the best time to sell based on everything that's out there. However, there's still a lot of people sitting on the sidelines and saying, I'm not really sure I want to. I want to wait for the interest rates. I think we've proven that that's probably going to be into the fall time of year, which means there are less buyers in the market, which means we could probably expect, here's the bad news, less money for the houses. So it's important to bring up that in a marketing and selling a property, you want to always inquire when you're talking to a real estate agent, what do you do to market a home and cause it to sell? Because you and I have seen this time and time again over the last 20 years. Great marketing, great negotiating means a higher profit for the sellers, and buyers, you also want to have a great agent negotiating on your behalf as well. Jackie, I say all the time that a lot of real estate agents follow the 3 Ps. You know what they are, right?
They place it in the MLS, they put a sign in the yard, and they pray. Yeah.
That's not necessarily what you want to do. If you're interviewing a real estate agent, we've always advised this, that you want to get a list of what does their marketing look like? What are you going to be doing for the next 6 to 8 weeks to market my property? And they better show you a list that is at least 6 to 8 weeks long.
Absolutely. Because if the house doesn't sell within the first week, you need to know that your agent is actually doing things to bring more people in your door. It can't just stop after the first week of, let's just do an open house. That's not how it works.
So if you want more information, you have some questions, you can reach our contact information is down below in the description. You can comment, and we respond to every comment personally. We're here to help. That's our number one objective, and hopefully we're bringing you good information. So definitely hit the subscribe button.
And when you do, thank you.
All right, let's go on. Buyer side.
Okay, so now we have to talk about the buyer side, and it's pretty much been the same question that they've had for a year now, and that is, should we wait for those rates to drop, or should we just go ahead and take the plunge and buy now? What do you think the answer is going to be according to the article?
This article from the Daily Herald says lower rates give home shoppers more financial breathing room, so holding out for a more attractive rate can make a big difference, especially for first-time home buyers who often struggle to find an affordable home. However, there's a potential downside to waiting. Lower rates can attract more prospective home buyers, heating up the market and driving up prices. Acting now would likely saddle a buyer with anywhere from a 6.9 to a 7% on a 30-year mortgage in late October. That rate surged to a 23-year high of nearly 8%, according to Freddie Mac. Economists generally expect the average rate on the 30-year mortgage to decline later in the year.
So we just talked about that. It may be until September or October to see better rates for buyers to buy, but that's not necessarily the best time to buy. So a quandary again.
Okay, so let's look at the current interest rates as of today. So this is for a loan for $300,000, 20% down with a credit score of 740 or a little bit higher. You'll notice that the 30-year fixed rate conventional mortgage is 7.624% and the FHA rate is 7.343%. VA is 7.5.
Those suck.
How? This is they're going up and they're going up and down all the time. We want to keep our eye on this one. Remember, you're buying short term. What you're asking for really until this, and we're going to put a separate video together on what's happening with this lawsuit that's occurring with NAR. But until July, you don't have to worry about the concessions that are being made are almost exclusively going towards the buyer sides. We'll explain that in detail. In fact, we'll link that to the end of this video. That next video we're going to do on the NAR settlement and what that looks like. But here's the thing. You can do a 2-1 buy down, which is you buy down your rate 2% for 1 year and then 1% for the following year. At that point, plenty of time to refinance, and it brings your rates not at the 7 because we won't lock at that, but we lock at maybe high 6s, and then all of a sudden we're down into the 5s. That's manageable.
That's a heck of a lot more manageable.
These rates, what'd you say? They suck.
Okay, now let's look at inventory because that is critical for both buyers and sellers. And surprise, surprise, Florida's in the news again.
So here's the top 20 highest gains in active inventory in the U.S. And starting off at number 20 is Poughkeepsie, New York, followed by Wilmington, Delaware. Cape Coral, our Florida city, is number 18. And at number 17, just to the north of us, Deltona, not a good thing. Crestview, Fort Myers, Dallas, Gulfport, Fayetteville, Amarillo, Texas, Lubbock, Texas. We're seeing a lot of Texas here. Another Texas with McCann, and then Fargo, Savannah, and Myrtle Beach. And the top 5? Number 5 is Northport. And number 4 is Naples. Number 3 is Appleton, Wisconsin. Number 2, El Paso, Texas. And number 1, Sioux Falls, South Dakota, with a 100% increase in inventory. Now, for the sake of time, we didn't add the increase, but the bottom line is Deltona and Cape Coral, some Florida cities that were at 17 and 18, have gone up around 34%. Naples and Sarasota are up in the mid 60s as well. That means 60% more inventory this year than year over year. This is not a good thing. This is going to drive down prices, but it means there's more homes available for buyers.
Okay, we covered a lot of information and no way around it. It's definitely a challenging market.
But let's finish with some fun. Let's talk about the most expensive cities to live in Florida. And I don't think you'll know what the last one is. Coming in at number 5, West Palm.
West Palm Beach.
Not a big shocker. Number 4,
Delray Beach.
Number 3, your hometown.
Miami.
Number 2, and this doesn't surprise me because remember, they figure out what does it cost, how much does the housing cost, what does rent cost, what is the cost of living there. Number 2,
Boca.
And the number 1, which I absolutely love, but it's the most expensive, is
Key West.
Key West.
Who would have thunk Key West? Right?
In
I always
fact,
thought it was Miami.
I would have too,
Yeah.
but because the cost of living and everything else, Key West has the win. That's the most expensive place to live in Florida, and that means you and I should probably go to the beach and say goodbye to everybody. Have a
Yay,
great day. Thanks for
bye.
watching.